looks like someone got married and tied them on. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If the speed picks up, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Some people get kind of fancy. At my second initiation in New Vrindavan, Prabhupada got a little fancy. Okay? So that's one thing. Now the tambourine or shakers that we use sometimes. Okay, you don't have to, oh, thank you for we don't have to do the same. That's more for kartals, for something like this. Or if the mridanga player and the kirtan wala, if they double time it. In other words, you don't have to match. What is this? Okay. Yeah. This is not a very good time to reincarnate. That's my suggestion. Okay, great. So any questions so far? And mridanga playing, simple, doesn't have to be too complicated.
Sorry, Maharaj, one question, just general guidance wanted. Sometimes we get guests and they are very enthusiastic, but they don't know how to play.
Yeah.
Or their kids, they want their kids to play this instrument because that may be the first. So
Yeah.
should we stop or?
I think it's a good idea because it disrupts everybody. It's just like, say, if, like I'm giving a class now. Somebody comes with their 2 rambunctious kids, all over the place, and the parents are thinking, it's so cute, but it's not cute for anybody else. So out of the courtesy of others, it's probably a good idea. No, we only restrict, the use. I'd put things in such a way that, and maybe you already have it, it's not that reachable or attainable, and so I would stick to some standards. That's why if you have something posted about standards, then people say, see, we have some regulations here about how we do things, And I think maybe you can introduce some lessons, get a teacher to come in occasionally or whatever, and they can train up people. But you don't go into a church or a synagogue and just start bringing your own instruments and do any old damn thing. So I think that there has to be control. There has to be standards. And Prabhupada wouldn't tolerate for noise, So we have an obligation to fulfill Prabhupada's standards, right? So, I think that's, we don't need loosey-goosey programs here. We need some guidelines, prescriptions, okay? So where we're going to start, the book is good because it starts up, there are standards, and we should know what those standards are. And there's a philosophy behind it, and that is expressed here in the book as well. I'm going to flip over to different things here, such as don't concoct mantras, okay? Well, we'll just deal with that for a bit. Apart from mantras picked up from Indian popular culture, the internet, or the street, we sometimes invent our own. Speaking in a lecture in Vrindavan on 1976, November the 2nd, Prabhupada said, there are so many they have invented. Just like Hare Krishna mantras prescribed in the Shastras, and they have invented so many. Although there is the name of the Supreme Lord, still you have to follow the Shastra. if you say Ram, 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 Radhe, 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 Krishna, there are so many inventions. That is also name, but you have to follow the Shastra. Shastra says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You have to take that. Not that you can say, Nitai Gaur Radhe Shyam, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. No, why? Is there any in the Shastra? No, you have invented. What is the value of your invention? You are not perfect, but they like that. It is my guru. I got some followers. I invent some type of chanting. This is nonsense. You must follow. Mahajana Yedakata Sapanta. You cannot invent. Okay? And don't invent mantras for deities and things like that. Prabhupada did say to one of our sannyasis, one of his sannyasis, that, because he asked Prabhupada, is it okay to just chant the name of the deity in front of the deity as you go along? He said that was okay. But he didn't like Jai Shamasundar, this and that, and Jai this guy, that guy, like everybody, everything under the universe. Jai cranes, Jai turtles, you know what I mean? You know, he just didn't, it's not, you know. And you only have a limited time for chanting, so stick to the mantra, right? There's a lot to be said about that. And, well, since we're here in the land of Bhakti True Swamy, he relates an incident that occurred when Srila Prabhupada and his devotees were at the Kumbh Mela in 1976. A devotee was leading a lively kirtan one morning during Guru Puja, and the rest of us were jumping up and down in ecstasy. Then he started to sing, Bhaja, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And all of a sudden, Prabhupada shouted to stop the kirtan. Everyone froze. The tent went silent. Where did you learn this? Bhaja, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada roared. The devotee was speechless with shock and embarrassment. Prabhupada continued, the Hare Krishna mantra must be chanted just as it is, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Where did you learn this? Hare Krishna, Bhaja, Hare Krishna. Did you ever hear me singing Bhaja, Hare Krishna? And Prabhupada just chastised him for about 5 minutes. You can imagine how much he must have felt like, you know, when that melt into the floor. Prabhupada also explained that this is how deviation starts. Somebody puts in his own concocted thing, and then somebody else comes, he adds some more concoction to it, and then with time it becomes a complete distortion. You know? There's things like Radhe, 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 this, Radhe. Okay, so Prabhupada didn't like it. It's just because it's Krishna. If you're going to say Radhe, where's Krishna? Did you kick him out? You know, even when it comes to, in general, Gaura Nitai, also, it wasn't some Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. He never did it. It was just not part of his practice, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. And one time he said, it's Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. I will chant that and I'll go back to Godhead. You want to do something else, then. I gave a presentation at Hawaii. They had the Panchatattva there, and they said, yeah, it's not good to just do Nitai Gaur or Gaura Nityananda Bol Hari Bol. I mean, it's because it's the whole Panchatattva that we have to consider. That's the mantra he gave us, right? So, I remember it was 1973 when I joined. There were no Nitai Gaura Hari Bols, none. Then I think it was 74, devotees went to India, they came back with these new ideas. There's also something to be said about melodies. Now, we don't all know what is a good melody and what is not, but there's definitely a lot of Bollywood influence now. And when in the 70s, Bollywood there was no strength, there was no Bollywood in the 70s, but there were movies out there. And I'm sure some devotees picked up on some of the tunes and then applied it to the Maha Mantra. Now the problem with Bollywood tunes is that people, when they come and they hear, they think, oh, that's the bedroom scene, you know, and they think your mind resorts to the bedroom scene, right? And so it's really unfortunate. I did take the opportunity. What was that big movie about that came out just last year? Oppenheimer. And in it, there's reference to Krishna says, "I'm the story of the worlds," you know, with Sanskrit. And it's too bad it was in a bedroom scene. You know, I mean, I'm a swamy. I don't look at those things, but and it was, I guess, family entertainment. They're, you know, somewhat tasteful about it. But it's too bad that in the whole film, that had to happen in that scene. It had to be inserted there. It's too bad, really. Okay, so there are some tunes that are totally traditional and we're okay with, like the Prabhupada melody we just did. Another one, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Maybe there's about 6 or 7 or 8 tunes that you just need to know. Here's another one straight from Bengal. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There was one, I went to, at Diwali time, I took a bus ride with a group of Punjabi devotees, and they went all the way from Toronto to Ottawa, which is a 5-hour drive, to go to Parliament in Ottawa. And it was to celebrate Diwali with the leaders, with the national leaders. They were a little delayed. You know how the banks merged here, you know, some years back? They didn't do that in Canada. They didn't do that. So that was what the meetings were all about over there. And when the political leaders were finished with their meeting, they're supposed to come and join us for Diwali. So they did come. And but while we were waiting for them to finish their meetings in Parliament, some Prabhu who had a harmonium, he decided to do some songs. And he sang a tune, which was, it's a love song, or ghazal, or whatever you call it, right? And I know devotees have been singing that, and I wondered, what is that a folk song, or is it? I said, no, it's a love song. And I said, oh, maybe we shouldn't be using that melody, because it puts people in the wrong, you know, puts their mind in the wrong place, right? You know, and my dearly beloved Trivikaram Swamy, who's, you know, been situated here for a long time, he used to sing a tune to the Beatles song, you know, we all live in a yellow submarine, a yellow submarine, a yellow submarine. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the first time I heard him sing it like that, I thought, oh, maybe it doesn't work for those of us. If you're from India, it's okay, you don't know. But if you were raised in the West, then you know. And it's kind of, it's an innocent song. There's nothing licentious about it, you know. So there's certain things that Prabhupada wanted us to chant, and he didn't like Jai Gurudev. He told us specifically, Jai Gurudev. No way, Jose. He didn't say no way, Jose. But he didn't like Gurudev. He didn't like, it was, you know, he said it was impersonal because Guru has a name, and therefore, but then you can't chant the name in the temple because it's restricted to Prabhupada. And then if you just chant the name of your own Guru, and then there's other people who are initiated by others, well then I can chant the name for my Guru. After Prabhupada departed, that was the kind of thing that was going on. And it was quite disturbing. Jai this pod, Jai that pod, Jai. Yeah. Jai Gurudev, here it is. February 1977, Gaur Purnima, before the first Mangala Arti, Panchadravida Swami had been chanting Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Shri Guru for the Mangal offering before the Arti. During the Mangal Arti Kirtan, someone had been chanting for Prabhupada, of course, Jai Gurudev, Gurudev. And Bhavananda came down after Mangal Arti, and during the announcements, he brought 2 messages from Prabhupada. Because Prabhupada was just on the floor upstairs and had heard. So Prabhupada said, firstly, you don't sing Bhoga Arti for the Mangal Arti sweet offering. Secondly, you do not sing Jai Gurudev. Gurudev is impersonal. It can mean anyone. If you want to indicate your spiritual master, you call him by name. So it is Jai Prabhupada, etc. Okay? And we do chant Jai Prabhupada because he's their founder, Acharya. Otherwise, we don't chant names of different gurus, right?
Maharaj, what was the first point?
The first point about Mangal Arti, he was singing the Bhoga Arti for the Mangal Arti sweets.
Usually sung in the Bhoga Arti, noon time, but he was singing in the morning.
Yeah, but like Hare Krishna, what is
singing
in the
this
Bhoga
song.
He was singing the Bhoga Arti.
Bhoga Arti song.
Oh,
It's not at an appropriate time. Yeah.
No, I understood, but Bhoga Arti, is there a song for Bhoga
Yeah,
Arti?
it's
Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala Shri Guru Hari Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Yeah. So it's okay to do if somebody's here and you have lots of people who can do things for you. So is that okay, Prabhus?
Yes.
So that's the Rajbhog Arati. So when the Rajbhog is offered, usually that song can be sung.
Yeah, and so there's a lot actually to cover here, but so there's something said about Hari Bol, Bol Nityananda Bol, Hari Bol. Prabhupada didn't like that. He didn't like that. He wanted us to stick to the Panchatattva Mahamantra. Okay. Keep things simple, maintaining the Kirtan standard, and Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya. Well, he didn't do that. He did give us Govinda Jaya Jaya. He would sing that. He said there's a few things that he was fine with. We should chant the full Panchatattva mantra. He gave emphasis on this again and again. All right. So some of these things you might know, but it's just a refresher if you do know. Ram mantras, even Sitaram, Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram, he just wants us to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Rama is in there. And even if you have Sitaram deities, he just didn't want us to go off into strange directions, just keep it really simple. Bhajans may be chanted, of course, bhajans by the acharyas. Just follow the guru, the main thing is follow the acharyas. And when it comes to Mangal Arti, I wish that Prabhu, your cook, was here, because when he led the kirtan the other day, and I don't question his bhakti, his devotion at all, but he, Mangal Arti, I think we sing Mangal Arti, he did 4 different tunes during Mangal Arti, 4 different melodies. Not necessary, stick to the morning tune, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Part 2. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Beautiful, right? It seems to be the right tune. There's of course a raga for every 3 hours. There's like different raga, and we don't know them, but it's good if we can get to know them. I asked Lokanath Swamy and Hari Bhakti, another devotee I know, Ajamil's son, to give us a little bit of a rundown of what is a good melody that's traditional, what is not, because we don't know. but we're getting to know.
This is the same melody as the Udilo Aruna. Mahaprabhu used to sing.
Udilo, that's a two-piece, that's a two-beat. Udilo Aruna Purava Bhage Dvijamani Gora Amani Chage Bhakata Samaloya Sati Kila Nagara Braje. Okay, so, now, we're just giving some guidelines, especially in the temple. You want to be a little bit strict. When you're outside in a public venue, maybe in a fireworks display or something, then you might have license to do a few things. I mean, like every year we celebrate Canada's birthday, we all go there and say Canada, 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 hey. And then people are singing with us, and then we go Krishna, 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 And George Harrison did that little trick in the song "My Sweet Lord," where he say Hallelujah. The chorus people Hallelujah, and then Hare Krishna. They transitioned it, And he talked to Mukunda Maharaj about that transition, that people can now, mold into it. So it's an outdoor, it's an out there outside. We wouldn't necessarily do Hallelujah here, but we would do it, outside maybe, And sometimes devotees go to yoga studios and you get a little stuck with doing this and that, but you don't want to make that the standard, right? Yeah. Lakshmi Nrsimha Dev. That's the same Prabhu that was with us, right? Yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, so musical talents. Some people are very good, and we can learn from them. But oftentimes Kirtaniyas who are quite good, they tend to be a little bit into themselves, a little bit much sometimes, And one has to be a little careful about that. Remember, Trinadapi Sunijina, Tororapi Sayishnana. Approach all the kirtan in a humble frame of mind, Keep that ego down, Let's see. I think, there's other things that we do sometimes that are, fine, like from the old days. Like when I lead the kirtan in the morning, as you may have noticed, I just, when it comes to the Panchatattva mantra, it's not wrong what devotees are doing. You can go either way. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Go Gadadhar. He holds the note there. And very few people do that. But that's the only thing we used to do. And then some devotees came back from India. Gadadhar. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari. Okay, Hare Krishna. So you can probably tell by the tone of my voice. But there's things you can get away with. And it's not like we have to totally parrot everything Prabhupada's doing. He expects us to have a little bit of wiggle room, to show a little bit of pliability, and some beautiful musical power. He loved when Yamuna sang, and he loved when Vishnu Chand Swamy sang, and he'd have his own melodies. We were not exposed to what happens in India. Then it was Achyutananda who learned all the melodies from the whole Vaishnava songbook. He went through it all. And it's still the best out there, that recording of the Vaishnava Acharya songs by Achyutananda. It's still the best, because he studied from the traditionalists amongst the Gaudiya, Vaishnavas. So those are some things we can reference, and just keep those things in mind. So, any questions up to this point?
I want to share something that I heard the other day. What devotee was sharing, the Srila Prabhupada was teaching the Narsingha mantra for the first time, Narsingha Dev prayers. And so he sang, and then there was an Indian person in the audience, lady I think. And so at the end we sing, right, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, and like that. So when Prabhupada got to that, so this lady somehow she sang Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. So Prabhupada said, who is that? You know, because as Prabhu Maharaj was saying, we have this traditional Om Jai Jagadisha Hare, give me a car and a color TV and all that. So Prabhupada said, no Om. So he was particular because it would remind us of the other mantras that we traditionally sang in Karma Kanda and all that.
Yes. Yeah, if you go to a Hindu temple, they chant Om Jai Jagadisha Hare. That's pretty standard. So just to be nice, you can be there and sing along with them, or just keep a little quiet, keep your smiles going. We do have to show etiquette to other groups, I've also been in situations where there are some like yogis who sing real nice, and it's got Mayavad connotations. We are the one, the open, so I'll sing along with them just to be with them, but I'm not going to take that and introduce it into our kirtan. So no, I think it's just a matter of showing protocol, showing kindness to other people, and but we don't have to compromise. Here are some others from South Africa. Jai Radha Jagannath, Radha Jagannath, Radhe. Seems they were chanting the names of all the deities on their altar. And so again from the Middle East. Jaya Radha Radha Gopal, Jaya Radha Radha Gopal, Radhe. As soon as you say Radhe without Krishna, it means you've rejected him. Right? Okay, and deity mantras, that's in that section here. At the end of the book, he's got sort of charts about the things that you can chant or that you can get away with. Kirtan standard seminars, okay? And at the Mangalarti, you chant the Panchatattva mantra 3 times, and then the Mahamantra as many times as you can do. Recommended by Srila Prabhupada. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal. Radha Ramanadi Govinda Jaya Jaya. Also, he recommended at Kirtan, Hare Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. That's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. At the end of the Kirtans, not to be followed by Jai Guru Dev, but not to be inserted in the midst of the Guru Astakamya. So, Nitai Gaura Haribol in moderation. So he's giving some guidelines on all of this. How much, how often, and so on. Also approved by Srila Prabhupada Jai Sachidanand, Nitai Gaura, marginal. Sometimes approved, sometimes disapproved by Prabhupada. Jaya Rama, Shri Ram, Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Okay, some Raghupati Raghava Raja Ram. In any case, not more than the first stanza. And again, it depends on your setting. You don't need to introduce that into your temple, but maybe some outdoor. Radhe Radhe Sham Milade, concoction. Jai Sitaram Lakshmanam, for worshiping the deities and only including no additional kirtans. So he gets very specific. And if you know the Maharaj, Jadwaita Maharaj, he's like that, Sisi Gaura Nitai Gita. Something about pronunciations too. Of course, if you're a French-speaking person, you can't say Hare Krishna. And if you are like a Spanish Latino person, you can't say Jaya, you say Yaya, Prabhupada, Yaya. So we can't fault them, it's just kind of like the way it is. But when Vishnu Jan Swamy chanted Hari Ramo, which I guess might be kind of common in the Orissa, that area, they Kisno, Ramo, like Prabhupada, one time he said to Vishnu Jan Swamy, stop this, otherwise you'll spoil everything will be destroyed. Om Jai Jagadish Hare. Don't add Om. don't concoct. Bolo, before the disapproved by Prabhupada. Adding anything at all to the Maha Mantra. Don't add O, A, E, or anything else. We can allow cinema songs to be sung in the temple. Okay, well that's pretty straightforward. Don't concoct. What is the value of your invention? This is nonsense. You cannot invent. Let's see. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Totally against it. Emphatically disapproved. Goda, 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 Hari. Emphatically disapproved. Emphatically. So it's a good book to acquire and just to get familiar with, and maybe some of you want to get on the phone, just read through it, or physically meet and get familiar with these things, because the next generation's going to go on. And what happens sometimes, you get like these trailblazing younger folks, and they start to do something that they heard from some Hindi somewhere, and then oh, that's cool, I'm going to bring that to the temple. And then before everything gets kind of damaged, and just stick to, and they feel offended if you bring that up, But I'm sorry, Prabhupada, have you heard of him? Chandracharya, the movement. He had his good reasons. So, for Mangalarti, sing the morning tune. Kirtan should be sweet and melodious, not clanging and banging. Mridangam players should follow the leader. The drums should not be louder than the voice. The harmonium is for bhajan, not kirtan. Of course, some people will sort of argue with that one a little bit. Don't divert attention to more instruments. The amplifier should not be blasting. Kirtan is not for business. Style is not the thing. We are not professional musicians. Just stay pure. Follow the regular principles of devotional service. Chant with devotion. Keep it simple. Always distribute prasad, when there's kirtan. Those are some points. Anything else? Now's the time to ask.
When we sing Jai Radha Madhava, do we follow with Hare Krishna, or do we transition to the Panchatattva mantra and then Hare Krishna?
Oh, you mean like before a class or something?
Yeah.
Prabhupada just chanted the Jai Radha Madhava and went right into the class.
Okay.
Yeah. It depends on how much time you have. Like, I think devotees just look at, they're time honored. Okay, I have 45 minutes, I have an hour. So if you just extend the mantras a little bit, then is there time for the class? Like that. So I would have those considerations. Good question, though.
Can you please elaborate more on Hare Krishna Mahamantra, like chanting? It's kind of like a Kirtan seminar. It worked out so well. Usually we did in the past in New Brindavan, Kirtan lessons during this retreat, and sometimes the Mahamantra small session. So importance of Mahamantra and how we can improve our quality of chanting.
Oh, well, that's a big topic. Like, how many hours do you have?
No, 3, take-home messages.
Mahamantra, approach it with humility. My dear Lord, please allow me to, with this, as I'm approaching the Mahamantra, getting familiar with you, getting to know you through your name. Please help me to be humble about it. Please let me serve your name. So Trinada Pisinichina, I just ask for, for that mindset. Please, my Lord, help me to be humble in my approach with this Mahamantra. And so that could be a takeaway, humility. What else about the Mahamantra? Well, it's preceded by the Panchatattva mantra, and some devotees will choose to precede that with the Prabhupada mantra, pranati. I do, in the Mangalarti. For me, everything start with Prabhupada. I'm not going to throw in the middle. I'm right off the bat for me. So I think there's a little flexibility there. Well, the definition, look at the definition. If you want to, have more clarity, you're simply putting in a request. How can I increase my service? How can I improve my service? It's really all about giving, My dear Lord, energy of the Lord, please, you who are all attractive, Krishna, engage me in your service. And some definitions that I find really helps for some people, especially in the yoga community, say, oh, Creator, you who are all attractive, please allow me to engage in service to you and to the world, like that. And as I expressed the other day, also, you can express gratitude through the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, Krishna, Krishna. Like a feeling of, where you feel reverence towards the Lord. So humility, reverence, those are the kind of moods that we like to establish. And so that would be a good takeaway. And also chanting the Maha Mantra in the company of others, whether it's japa or kirtan or bhajan. So, try not to be too solo about your spiritual life. That could be very dangerous. Too much solo means, you're missing out on the bolo solo. Yeah, so Prabhupada taught us to sing together. Is that okay?
Very helpful.
Okay. Any other questions that devotees may have?
I have a question about the big drum that I see sometimes, the djembe.
Oh yeah.
I have an issue when the mridanga sound is drowned by these other. What's your thought about?
Well, I mean, when it comes to there are some rules out there that the GBC has passed about mridangas keeping the traditional instruments in the temple. When you're outdoors, it might be a different ball game. Like say, for instance, that Rath Yatra time, you're in the streets, and there's a lot more power to a djembe. They're a lot more durable. They're thicker skin and so on like that. And we, like in Toronto, we always go on New Year's Eve, and we bring marching drums with mallets.
Really?
Yeah, because you can't, with your fingers, will just fall off. So, the principle is sing, have some percussion. That's the principle, but what goes on in the temple might be a little different from what goes on outside.
Because what
I mean,
djembe, they're also relatively easy to play, so anybody picks up and they start.
Yeah, I know, it works really nice and outdoors, like it gets people dancing, more than a mridanga, and a mridanga doesn't always work so well in a climate where it's a little moist. You get humidity here, and it just doesn't do anything. So when you have a djembe, which is tight and thick, has some power to it, it gets people, you want to accomplish what you can. And, just say, for instance, during the COVID, does anybody know Nora Jones? She's the daughter of Ravi Shankar. And she put something out there, when everyone was locked down. She sang that song that I think her mother came up with, or her auntie or whatever. I am missing you, oh Krishna, where are you? And devoted, that was on Ravi Shankar's album, and I believe George Harrison was on there too. And the devotees played that by Ravi Shankar's wife, and he said a very good mood. He liked the raga. He thought it was very appropriate. So when Nora Jones sang it and went kind of viral, she was just on the piano in her home. And there's nothing wrong with playing piano. It's a Western instrument. Harmonium is also a Western instrument. It's not from India.
Exactly.
It's from Germany or France from the 1800s. It's got nothing to do with the tradition of Narada Muni or anybody like that. and keyboard is a Western thing. But, you know, folks where many have taken it to another level, and they, you know, sing bhajans with it, and they do it very expertly. But, so there's no restrictions, you know, hard and fast rule on what
Timeless in
instrument.
circumstances.
Yeah, and like Prabhu, he did the didgeridoo the other day, and it
Yeah.
kind of worked, you know. And he did brought it in the temple setting, and that's up to the management. But it kind of worked. The fire, we took put the bonfire on it, and it's an Australian thing. It's very gutsy and it's very
About-
earthy. You know, it almost any instrument can work. What you want to accomplish is to get people to sing, to dance, to participate. And if you don't do it, you know, under those circumstances, then you'll just go to the bar, and you'll just you go to the club, and you'll dance, and that's all sensual, right? So the beautiful thing about Kirtan, it doesn't have to be sensual. It can be, even your movements can be more like folk-like,
Yeah.
folkish, as opposed to sex-like. You know? That's those are the kind of parameters that we have to work within. Yeah.
And the Kirtan we did yesterday, you know, we are like, I think the mood and the intent of like respecting Krishna, if it is
Yes.
core, you know, the one we did with the plates and the wall and the
pillar,
table.
the table.
I think that's one of the best
Yeah.
Kirtans I ever heard, like, you know, one of the really. We are all in that holy name mood rather
Yeah.
than, you know,
Yeah.
the cuttles or, you know. So, I mean, yesterday.
We didn't have the instruments with us, so we just worked with what we had.
Yeah, and we are respecting the holy name,
Yeah.
and we
The
are
mood
in the
was
holy
good.
name. Yeah.
Mood was good, yeah. And we just had a little fun amongst ourselves, and it's quite okay to have a little fun. Try. So, some good questions, I hope it helped out. And it's good to get familiar, the books are there, buy one, read it. Hare Krishna.
Sisi Gaur Mita.